sir, you were talking about so there are differentiators that you mentioned, and you're talking about AI powered navigation. You're talking about, of course, security, swarm coordination, and real time intelligence. Is this something that you have the software and the entire structure and the entire code is something that you've developed yourself?
See, let me explain what an autopilot or autopilot is in as easy terms as possible. Now, if you look at a computer or a laptop or a mobile phone, you have the motherboard, which we are all familiar with. क्योंकि motherboard जब होता है नहीं काम नहीं करता है तो the thing doesn't work. So that is the reason why, so the motherboard is a crucial factor which is there in any computing device. And many people don't recognize the fact that a drone is a computing device. You can call it a flying computer, because it's computing its location, it's computing with respect to other things where it is computing inputs that are coming from various sensors like GPS or even from accelerometers, magnetometers. So all that computing is going on board there, based on which the drone is flying. So essentially the autopilot which controls the drone is the motherboard of an autopilot, similar to the motherboard of a laptop or a phone. The difference here being that in the case of a laptop or a phone, it crunches data. Here it crunches data to take an action. So in laptops or phones or the other kind of computing devices, it gives you the data and you take the action. But here it takes the action on its own. And that is because that is why it is called as autonomous or autopilot that is there. Now this essentially consists of 4 layers. The basic layer which all of us know or see is the PCB, which is the printed circuit board on which you have the various processors and various other electronic components that consist of the PCB. The next layer to the PCB is the firmware, which is the equivalent of the OS that is there on your laptops or phones. So the OS is called as the firmware in the drone. And then you need something to communicate. Then you have the UI, which is what you use on the user interface, which in the drone's case is called as a ground control station or a GCS. Now there needs to be something that converts your instructions that you give on the UI to something that the motherboard understands, it has to be converted from a user defined situation to a language that the motherboard understands. So
Understands.
that is called as the communication protocol or the control protocol. Now the control and communication protocol is the linking layer that links the UI to the motherboard. Now these are all the 4 layers that are there in an autopilot, and this is called as a cyber physical stack for a drone. Now, so this becomes the most critical part of the drone, because this is what controls the drone, tells it what to do, and how to execute certain situations that it encounters as it flies. For example, let's take, you get gusts of wind. Now, when you get gusts of wind, the drone can get destabilized. So it needs to know how to correct itself and maintain a level flight even if the wind is gusty. So this is a computing factor that happens on board.